I mean, is that a real concern that this could escalate things even further?
Definitely.
The Israeli government has just banned journalists, struck foreign aid workers delivering food in Gaza, and potentially escalated a war with Iran, all within 24 hours. So I'm going to go over the best I can here, all of the information that has come out over the past day. And again, because this is an ongoing genocide, there is so much that I have missed as an individual that it's impossible for me to be able to cover everything I want to cover, because it's impossible to just keep up to date with everything going on. But these are three major events, all happening within the span of 24 hours, that I think are worth highlighting here. So from the BBC, Israeli government says it will block Al Jazeera from broadcasting. Al Jazeera right now is essentially the only media that has been on the ground in Gaza, the only ones allowed in, with foreign journalists being banned from entering Gaza. Al Jazeera staff based in the Strip have been some of the only reporters able to cover the war on the ground. The Knesset, Israel's parliament, approved the bill allowing foreign networks considered a threat to national security, which we all know what that means. A threat to showcasing Israel's war crimes to be temporarily banned. The ban would be in place for a period of 45 days at a time, which could be renewed. The law would stay in force until July, until the end of significant fighting in Gaza. So it's very clear why this ban is put in place. This ban is put in place to ensure that there is no accurate, objective coverage of what Israel is committing in Gaza. Quoting here from Netanyahu, Al Jazeera will no longer be broadcast from Israel. This leads to, these are within hours of each other, from my understanding. This is the World Central Kitchen. They often have worked directly with Israel. This is one of the ways that Israel has sort of pretended to actually care about Palestinians. Is, oh, sure, we are bombing the shit out of them, but we are allowing this food to come in to feed the people that we are starving. So World Central Kitchen here announcing on their website, saying they are devastated to confirm 7 members of our team have been killed in an IDF strike in Gaza. The World Central Kitchen team was traveling in a deconflicted zone in 2 armored cars branded with the World Central Kitchen logo and a soft-skinned vehicle. Despite coordinating movements with the IDF, the convoy was hit as it was leaving the warehouse where the team had unloaded more than 100 tons of humanitarian food aid brought to Gaza on the maritime route. So this is along the water. This is, nowhere near the state of Israel. So there's, again, a deconflicted zone. There is nothing happening in this situation that would be any threat to Israel anyway. Yet the IDF struck them. So they're quoted here saying, this is not only an attack against the World Central Kitchen, this is an attack on humanitarian organizations showing up in the most dire of situations where food is being used as a weapon of war. This is unforgivable, said World Central Kitchen CEO Aaron Gore. The 7 killed are from Australia, Poland, the UK, a dual citizen of the US and Canada, and Palestine. And this is, we're going to get to more on this later. This is at least part of the reason why this is a bigger issue than a bigger issue in terms of the way the media coverage of this and the way that other countries are reacting to it. It's a bigger issue than the typical strikes, the typical killing that Israel has been committing in Gaza over the past several months, because this has directly impacted their allies. Now, as CNN writes here, since the latest war began following Hamas's October 7th murder and kidnap rampage through southern Israel, I just want to pause there for a second. Notice the tone of this piece when discussing what Hamas did. And I have no issue. You want to call this a rampage? Yes, it was a rampage. Compare that to how we have seen Israel discussed when they commit their rampages, their genocide. Oftentimes, they aren't even named. It'll be, 10 Palestinians killed. It won't even mention often that Israel are the ones that committed that in the headline. So just take note whenever you read or whether it's a media piece, whatever it is, take note of the tone, comparing what Hamas has done to what Israel has done, and how the tone completely shifts when they're discussing Israel's mass atrocities. But going on here, as they write, since October 7th, at least 165 workers with UNRWA have been killed. So these are people working within directly with aid, trying to help people in Gaza. And that is according to Honor Themselves last month. The World Central Kitchen has made headlines in recent years for coordinating food relief for thousands of people after an earthquake devastated Haiti, Hurricane Maria ravaged Puerto Rico, wildfires scorched Southern California, and a refugee crisis intensified on the Venezuelan border. In March, the nonprofit led an initiative to ship 200 tons of food aid to Gaza, which it said was the first maritime shipment of humanitarian aid to the Palestinian enclave. And so this has been a group that has been one of the few that have even been allowed in to help people in Gaza. And here they are being struck by the Israeli government. Now, the excuse is it's incredible. So first, they're saying it's unintentional. It was unintentional. So Netanyahu, Israeli prime minister, here saying it was unintentional, an unintentional airstrike. Let me show you, judge for yourself how unintentional this was. This is directly through the logo of the World Central Kitchen. And this is just, keep in mind, this is one. There are two others. As Mark Owen Jones writes here, it is misleading to describe the World Central Kitchen killing as an airstrike, singular. In actual fact, 3 vehicles were targeted, with the first and last being over 2.4 kilometers apart. The IDF decided to make 3 targeted strikes, not one. 3 vehicles hit here directly from World Central Kitchen. How can you possibly think, or how can you possibly buy the excuse that this was an unintentional airstrike when they are kilometers apart and they directly struck the vehicle with a vehicle with each strike? This was clearly done on purpose. Ryan Grimm writing here, the IDF believed it saw an armed man with the World Central Kitchen convoy during a previous leg of the trip. They did not see him when leaving the warehouse, but decided to strike the entire convoy and kill everyone in it just in case. This is the IDF's own explanation. So, are you keeping track here? It went from an unintentional strike to, oh, well, yes, we hit them, but we saw an armed man at some point with them. So, even though he wasn't there at the time, even though he was no threat, even though, of course, they're traveling with someone armed because they're in a dangerous area, they're in Gaza, because we saw at one point a man with a gun, we're going to kill foreign aid workers delivering food. This is the mindset that these terrorists have. This is one of the people they killed. This is Zomi Francombe. She is apparently was well loved within the organization, has dedicated her life to helping others all around the world, delivering food, helping people. She was actually on MSNBC late last fall, discussing her work in another country. I believe it was Morocco, following, I think it was an earthquake. Here you have, this is the last video she apparently took. So Zomi and Chef Ali's last video shows them cooking meals for Gaza's hungry. Just play a little bit of this.
In Chef Olivier, we're at the Jazeera kitchen, and we've got the mise en place. Tell us a little bit about it, Chef Ali.
This is the mise en place to cook the rice. So we have all the spices for boil the water to be ready for the boiling water inside the rice. This is the stir fry. We put oil, we stir fry onion.
And you may have seen, like, occasionally not occasionally, all the time, there's propaganda going out from the Israeli government, and they'll show images like this. Oh, look at all this food. Look at all this food that these Palestinians are eating. They must be doing fine. Yet it's organizations like this delivering foreign aid to starving Palestinians. And the propaganda is pretending, oh, Palestinians here cooking food, they're doing great. Meanwhile, these people are only here because of what Israel has been doing in Gaza. Another tweet here about Zomi. She was one of the earliest employees at World Central Kitchen. She first showed up to volunteer at our World Central Kitchen in Guatemala after the Fuego volcano eruption and became like family. Salome was effervescent. Her spirit and service embodied the greatest aspects of humanity. Anyone who meets Salome never forgets her huge smile and warm laugh. When others were facing the darkest of moments, Salome was a shining light of comfort, and the world is a dimmer place without her. Chef Jose Andreas here writing, this is the chef with World Central Kitchen. Today, World Central Kitchen lost several of our sisters and brothers in an IDF airstrike in Gaza. I am heartbroken and grieving for the families and friends and our whole World Central Kitchen family. These people are angels. I served alongside in Ukraine, Gaza, Turkey, Morocco, Bahamas, Indonesia. They are not faceless. They are not nameless. The Israeli government needs to stop this indiscriminate killing. It needs to stop restricting humanitarian aid, stop killing civilians and aid workers, and stop using food as a weapon. No more innocent lives lost. Peace starts with our shared humanity. It needs to start now. The IDF, from Patrick Winter here. IDF promises an independent expert and professional. This goes to why there's a different response to this compared to what Israel has been committing generally. IDF promises an independent expert and professional body will investigate the death of 7 aid workers in Gaza. Comes as former Israeli President Rivlin warned that Israel is one step away from international ostracism. In an interview with IDF Radio, Rivlin added, "We are losing the tremendous moral values that all Israeli governments for generations have enjoyed by the conduct and behavior of the IDF and by the behavior of the State of Israel and everything related to the wars we have waged for 76 years." Israel becoming self-aware here of what is happening. And again, directly relates to what just happened here. As Alonzo writes, Israel has killed Palestinians for walking in the wrong direction, killed Palestinians waving white flags, killed paramedics going to save a dying little Palestinian girl. But it is only now, when Europeans are killed, that an independent investigation is warranted. This, again, note how different lives in the context of other countries and allies of Israel, how different lives hold different value. If it's a European killed, if it's one of their allies, one of their a Canadian, an American, someone from the UK, if they're killed, it's a bigger deal. It strains the relationship that they have with Israel. But if they're killing 30,000 plus Palestinians, it's a serious problem. Israel should be careful. Like that's the most you're going to get. But here it's a little different because now it's affecting the actual citizens of their allied countries. And then this goes to the third story here. Israel strike on Iran's consulate in Syria killed 2 generals and 5 other officers. Israel directly attempting to increase tensions. That's the lightest way to put it, but trying to initiate a greater war with Iran. Reading into this as much as I can without knowing a whole lot, this to me seems like an attempt for Netanyahu to try and hold on to power because he is facing protests. He's facing a lot of pressure to step down. And often when world leaders are backed into a corner like this, they try to initiate some kind of war to bring support, to try and grow their support, though often it has the opposite effect. But some comments here on that exact thing from Barak Ravid. He is a CNN global affairs analyst.
How significant is this, and what have you been hearing from Israeli officials? I mean, they don't often say if they're behind these attacks, but what have you been hearing from sources?
So first, what I hear from Israeli officials is that Israel is behind this strike. I think it was clear from almost the first moment. And this is a very significant incident and a very significant strike, not only because of how senior this guy this Iranian general is, it's significant because it was a strike on an Iranian diplomatic facility. This is an unprecedented thing. And many officials think that this might be one assassination too many for the Iranians, who until now, from October 7th, they did not get involved directly in this conflict. They sent their proxies, but they did not enter by themselves to this conflict. And now they might have no other choice.
I mean, is that a real concern that this could escalate things even further?
Definitely.
And of course, Israel's actions have already escalated things. This from Trita Parsi. Iran messaged Biden via the Swiss following Israel's attack on the Iranian consulate. Iran appears to hold the U.S. responsible. Iran pressed Iraqi militias to stop attacking the U.S. There's been 0 attacks in 6 weeks. Israel may have killed that ceasefire and put targets on U.S. troops. Israel's actions here, attempting to bring the rest of the world into their bullshit. This has since come out. Iran vows revenge as it accuses Israel of deadly airstrike on Syria consulate. Apart from, the main story here, look at, again, the framing of this headline. As it accuses, Israel did the airstrike. This should instead be Iran vows revenge following Israel's deadly attack on the Syria consulate, killing 2 top generals. This headline, look who it puts the onus on. It puts the onus on Iran, as opposed to looking at Israel as the ones that escalated the situation here. Ryan Graham, last thing. Israel's norm-breaking airstrike on an Iranian embassy in Damascus appears to have led Iran to loosen the leash on its proxies, who are now attacking an American base. American troops are now being attacked over Israel's hubris. As I've been discussing for months, this will not end until Israel's allies stop them. Stop them by cutting off money, cutting off weapons. Until the international community as a whole, including Israel's allies, come together to stop Israel, this will continue going on. Israel is clearly emboldened. They get away with everything. Everything. Whether it's killing journalists, of course, killing Palestinian civilians, they're going to get away with this attack on the foreign aid workers delivering food, as they have before in previous situations. They have gotten away with everything. Why would they stop now, when clearly their aim is continued destruction, is full control over Gaza, is the complete elimination of Palestinians? Until Israel's allies stop them, they will continue doing this.